webinars. We'll probably have at least once a month. Let me just compare here.
Raz, dwa, raz, dwa, raz, dwa.
Okay. All right, so today we are going to have the following format. We're going to have an overview of what's coming up. We're going to talk a bit about the themes of development that's happening within the community. We're going to take some moments to rededicate to a community purpose and ethics for this community. We're going to talk about the upcoming affiliate super network, and then we will open up the forum to questions and answers, and we'll look to do, at least the majority being questions and answers. I know that there's a lot of questions out there, so that'll make up a good part of this. And we'll go over that when the time comes. So what's coming up, as we had announced, the DAOs are something that are coming up very quickly. By the end of May 26th, we will have both DAOs up and functional, and we'll be starting in on our governance pools, and there'll be information about this coming ahead of time, but I wanted to make sure everyone's aware of that and make sure that everyone has their Algorand wallet set up. That's going to be really important. We're also going to be launching a new mVault platform. So there's a number of different features that will be coming into play in this new platform. It's going to be on a separate website, and I'll get into some of the functionality of that a bit later. The Power Network is going to be off and running in this second quarter. This second quarter is going to turn out to be quite eventful. As part of the Power Network, we're going to talk about this in more depth as well. We are going to be inaugurating a decentralized global delivery network. This is to facilitate the coming integration of Web3 with physical products, physical and digital products. But what's really not been done so far is the integration of Web3 and physical products. And the big stumbling block on that's kept that from happening is you actually need a decentralized network of kind of physical warehouse and delivery capabilities to support this kind of a new product offering. So there's going to be something very exciting that's developing, and very similar to how Power Network will use the Power tokens as a membership token and as the staking token for providing network services. We're also going to use Power Network to provide as a staking mechanism to essentially bond these warehouse operations throughout the world that will stock and deliver physical products that are being purchased essentially with digital assets. So that's on the way. A global food intelligence platform that is really focused. It's an outgrowth of a G20 meeting that happened in November, and this is going to be a prime platform for, that the Power Network will be supporting. So that there'll be an announcement about that coming in this second quarter. There's also, so I know that AI has become a very big subject in the last several months, and all instances of that are centralized. They're all delivered through very centralized AI infrastructure. These are the largest players in the world, Google, Microsoft, but particularly as the AI database gets into personalized data, there is a need for decentralized AI infrastructure. And this ecosystem will be bringing forth in collaboration with a really top-level group. The Power Network will provide support for this decentralized AI infrastructure. So that also is, there'll be announcements about that in this second quarter. And then the Green Power Science and Technology Parks are something that will be happening later in the year. So that's not a second quarter thing, but that's something that there'll be a lot more announcements coming up later in the year, and the goal there is to have the first science and technology park opened by the end of this year. These projects are designed to do a number of things. First of all, they're being introduced to provide effective solutions to very real problems, using the technology to solve problems. There's an underlying theme of incentivizing independent Web3 infrastructure, and that's through the Power Network system, because that cannot happen without an incentive system. Unlike centralized infrastructure, it can't just be, formed. It needs, there's a collaborative process that is required for this. And so there needs to be a common rewards system that coordinates that infrastructure. And so that's a big part of what is going on in this ecosystem. There's definitely the focus to scale the growth and adoption of Web3. It's imperative that that be made simpler, and there's a big effort happening that's just starting to happen throughout the entire industry, and MVault is going to be very involved with this whole thrust of making it very easy and very similar to Web 2 in getting involved in Web3, and slowly migrating to the pieces that have been traditionally more difficult, and actually doing away with things that I think a lot of people who are familiar with Web3 understand. And what MVault is working on right now is a way to eliminate any seed words. So I think everyone here knows the difficulty and the hurdle of seed words. And if they can be eliminated, and there are ways to do it, they're just starting to come about. And it's, there's some interesting solutions that are finally coming to the forefront. The only solutions that have been there so far have really relied on centralized infrastructure, and so they really don't fit. Another aspect that we're very focused on is creating sustainable financial opportunities for the participants in this network. And those are going to be revealed in this second quarter as well. And we'll touch on those when we talk about the affiliate network. And there's a bottom line idea of just using this technology to help people lead better, more satisfying lives. You know, essentially the idea of using this technology to create outcomes that are, you know, greater outcomes with fewer resources. And of course, all of this is being done to increase the value of the ecosystem. And that is led by GRN. And there will be, there are other tokens that will play significant roles, mainly in the functionality of the ecosystem. But there are going to be emerging tokens that also will be trading and have kind of more traditional value structure and functionality as GRN, but just different networks. But there's, you know, as I think some who have looked at the Power Network, there's a number of functional tokens where we're really leveraging the feature set of Algorand and the low cost of the Algorand blockchain to really, you know, do things to create these solutions. So just want to touch on some of the themes of development that are emerging. As our community has evolved over the years, our collective values and motivations have also evolved. And what's emerging now are some themes that inform and influence the developments within the ecosystem. And so just to summarize some of those, you know, we're very much promoting and developing bottom-up protocols. These are supporting true decentralization built on independent infrastructure that are focused on preserving and empowering individual rights and self-sovereignty. And they're doing that through providing effective incentives, and these are all done to promote voluntary action. And the whole, you know, the whole ecosystem is designed to support a sustainable, cooperative dynamic. And we're building a lot, as I just mentioned, on functional tokens that are doing real things, delivering real value. And I know AI, of course, means artificial intelligence, but where there's a lot of, I think it could be argued, more applicable use cases for AI, it could be seen as, you know, an emerging field of augmented intelligence. So it's essentially AI and augmented reality merged together. So again, instead of being in a alternative metaverse immersed in this digital world, what we're focused on is actually bringing more intelligence using the technology available into the world that we're living in, the real world. And so that's very much more in the augmented reality realm. And you'll see that theme flowing through. It may be also helpful to talk about, you know, what we're not as an ecosystem. We're not about top-down organizations. We're not about centralized infrastructure, not about Web 2, or even what's now being called Web 3 theater, which is really, you know, there are Web 2 enterprises that are touting Web 3 aspects, but are really they're functioning like Web 2 and using centralized infrastructure. It's not about big tech or special interest. dependency and lock-in dynamics, no place for that. No predatory or coercive tactics. That is the realm of centralized infrastructure. And we're not focused on speculation and manipulation. And again, the metaverse is not a space that we're seeking. So I wanted to talk briefly about community purpose. What is community purpose? One definition would be it's our objective and how we plan to achieve it. It's what matters, our end goal, our primary intention. And when we first started this community, many may remember that we were very much talking about a better way of doing things through technology. And I think it's not wasn't a bad purpose, but I think that we learned some things over the course of time. And so as we're beginning a new cycle of development, and we're going to start to finally be growing again and moving into new realms of development, I think that we should update this purpose and hone it in a bit, because better, that's good, but it's kind of better than what? And technology, when we first started, we really positioned this as basically trying to bring the best of centralized infrastructure and decentralized infrastructure, trying to bring those together, the best of the centralized world with the best of the decentralized. And ultimately, we have learned, I would argue the hard way, that anywhere there is centralization, there is vectors of attack that are essentially points of vulnerability. And so we really are much more dedicated now to fully decentralized technology. So I want to propose, and this is just for discussion, that in our next cycle of growth, we get more focused on, really aiming for providing the highest good. And we do that through Unity because we're now going to have a way to create a more unified decision-making body in the form of the DAO. And that has been a very missing element as we have been operating in the past years. And so with that coming into play at the end of May, I think it'll put us on a whole new trajectory where we can really be focused on the unity within our community. And again, we will also focus on decentralized technology. So a purpose of the highest good through unity and decentralized technology, something for us to discuss. Now I want to touch on something that it may seem odd in a way. We didn't define this, and I think it's very rare that a community would define their ethics. They're kind of implied, and you ask, so what do we mean by community ethics? It's really the framework for prioritizing activity, and behaviors of people. These have been seen as guiding principles or a credo, their core behaviors, and they rarely, usually they're unsaid. And I think that that's the norm, actually. But with all that's happening in the world today, I think that it's really important to put forth some framework that can be used as guiding principles for people that are participating in our community going forward. And so we're, as I said, at the start of this community, we just didn't declare any, and that's quite normal, actually. It's rare that this is really discussed, and everyone thinks ethics, where's the place for ethics? It seems kind of high-minded, and yes, they are kind of high-level guiding principles, but I wanted to just open up some discussion by presenting three that I've kind of, I present them in the context of, that I see this community as a global family of sorts. This community has been through a lot together. It's quite amazing that, these many years later, with everything that's gone on, that we have a core group of people that are here, present, and moving forward. And so in appreciation for that, I put forth these as just some guiding principles. And the first one, it may seem odd, but let me explain. So this idea of honor your father and mother, it's very important to do in your life and literally your father and mother. But where I'm putting it forth is I'm really wanting us to focus on acknowledging and appreciating what has come before, because there is a tendency to judge and deny what has come before. I mean, you can visualize the teenager that wants nothing to do with their parents and during that certain stage of rebellion, and over time learns, how important their father and mother are. And I think that there's a lot to be learned. I think given all that's gone on in this community, it's very easy to judge and kind of, deny or question the past and what's gone on. And I think that it's really important that we do find a way to really accept that, and even go further than accepting it, but actually appreciating what has come before that led us into this moment. And I think that that's embedded in this idea of honoring your father and mother. It's honoring your context and in all things. And I think it's a healthy way to live life. As a community, to move forward with growth and prosperity, we need to acknowledge and respect the patterns of life which brought us here. It's just a thought to anchor on and guide. Number two, forgive your brothers and sisters. And this is, again, not your literal, it can be your literal brothers and sisters, but it's really looking at, this more figuratively about the people around you. And forgiveness is something that, it's an exercise within oneself, right? It's an unconditional type of thing that you're not doing it. Someone's not deserving of it. It is something you're giving as a gift. And it's a release of anger and resentment of others unconditionally. And I think it's that spirit of forgiveness that you just can't have enough of in your life. And when we're working with groups of people all over the world, these kind of issues can come up, and it's just as another guiding principle. If in our community we can hold this up as one of those as part of our credo, it could help make things better. And I think that everyone's interested in that. And the final one is, very, very high level, let's say. It's very good advice for anyone. And I think it's unusual, sure, to have as a stated ethic, but I really believe that it's the best thing that you can do for yourself. This is between you and you. And that is to love yourself, to do the highest good for yourself, to take care of yourself. This is especially with health right now. Do things that maintain your health, exercise, eating right, being responsible, stepping up, being part of the solution. And just in general, aiming to be as good a person as you can be. If we as a community honor this kind of a credo and weave this into our interactions, I really believe that it will change the results of our next cycle of growth. And that's what I think we're really aiming to do. I think that these three things can shift a gear for us on a, really deep and significant level. And so I offer those up as a point of discussion, and, just want to see people's reactions to that. And we can hopefully embrace these or something like them as we move forward. Let me talk a bit about what I think can best be described as a affiliate, not network, because that's one network, usually for a particular company or a product set. This was technically a super network, which in networking is a network of networks. What we're launching in this ecosystem is something that's really, to my knowledge, has not been done. There's many hurdles, and there's good reasons why it hasn't been done. But I do believe it can be done, and we've got all the right pieces to bring it together. And it's essentially a place where physical products and digital products can be purchased, traded using Web3 digital assets. And everything is happening in a Web3 environment. And the reward programs are modularized so that you're not kind of reinventing the wheel. These are multi-tiered reward programs. They deliver Web3 rewards, and these are all distributed on blockchain. All the rewards are auditable. They're delivered through an auditable smart contract, and the rewards themselves can be audited. Every product vendor has their own custom DApp, decentralized app. mVault would be positioned as essentially like a DApp store where all these different product apps would exist. But the key to the whole thing is that there is an easy all-in-one management mechanism that will be in mVault that allows for any of these affiliate programs to be participated in a very easy way. So essentially, if you are a purchaser of a particular product, a user of a particular product, and you do refer other people to that product, that starts a kind of chain reaction and you are building a residual stream of digital assets from that in perpetuity, really, for what goes on. And so many, I think what's happened that's been a real problem in this whole realm of affiliate programs are they're quite centralized. And that is a very limiting factor because what ends up happening is they change, the programs can change. And this famously happened to Amazon. Amazon had a very generous, in the early days of the internet, a very generous affiliate program. And it obviously worked well, and a lot of people built out the Amazon network, look where it is today. And they stopped that program, or they reduced down the rewards. And that's a very typical dynamic that happens. And another typical dynamic is the famous rug pull, where it just all of a sudden it was there and then it's gone. And so the whole idea behind this is to leverage everything that's available now in Web3 and a blockchain like Algorand to do a sustainable reward program module set that can then be used by all sorts of different vendors that have physical products or have digital products. And there can be solid building on that program because it's going to be modulated by smart contracts and not by a centralized company. So it's a very exciting paradigm shift that we're bringing to the market. And it's, as I had said, one of the keys to this is that it really requires a decentralized global delivery network. And, that's not a simple thing to deliver. But we are bringing, there's partnerships involved in this that will deliver something that, I think it does not exist right now and is key for Web3 commerce to really emerge. I think that this is a have to have. And again, those nodes on that network look different than a node on, the network services model, the digital services of what we're envisioning for Power Network. These are physical warehouses, and most of them will be positioned in free trade zones. And they will still need to have a certain amount of power tokens as their bonding mechanism in that network. So the power tokens you're going to see more and more how and why, you will want these power tokens. I think, key on this is going to be also the onboarding of products, new products onto such a system. That's been a hurdle as well. There's a chicken and the egg issue that you get. And the only way that can be countered is with a very strong growth plan underneath it. And that's what the super network is all about. So, these things are working together. And again, if, for the product vendors, they're going to minimize their expenses by holding power tokens. For the affiliates, they're going to maximize their earnings by holding power tokens. And, all the rewards are automated. And that includes things like, rank achievement, which to my knowledge, hasn't been used. I haven't seen it used where there's automated rank achievement using blockchain, but that's, will be delivered on the Algorand chain through our super network. And then, again, this element of impossible to overpay, which can kill a lot of programs. And, there would be the ability to modulate the payment, but it's all within the construct of a program that is unified. And so there's not this learning curve to, everyone's seen 1,000,001 different programs, affiliate programs, and they can be quite complicated. And this essentially becomes a modularized payment program or compensation program that then is participated in by all the different product vendors that want to be, expanding their services and supporting the affiliate network. And there's, this is something that can be solidly built on because it will be, it's on a smart contract. It's actually a series of smart contracts, and I only know right now to do it at least cost effectively. The only network that seems to be able to pull this off right now is Algorand, where you have smart contracts able to talk with other smart contracts, doing contract to contract transactions. They're very far ahead in my, from my analysis of that. And we're going to harness that in what we're doing. And essentially this community will be the core of the world's first Web3 affiliate super network. And so this is something big